My name is Costandi Bastoli. My wife is Barbara. We do live in the Blue Mountains, and God blessed us with 5 children and 7 grandchildren. I was born in Jerusalem um, back in 1948, the year of the Great Catastrophe, or what we call Al-Nakba. And it is called Al-Nakba is not because Costandi was born in that year, for other reasons, and I will share that with you. Now, let me just be clear that as a Christian, we don't support violence of any nature. And the majority of the Palestinians have opted for not a military resistance, but for activism and popular resistance. And that's including the Palestinian Authority, the PLO, and so on. But, some decided to take up arms, and some people say they are justified because they've been under siege for 17 years, living in an open-air prison, and people want their freedom. We had in the 90s, we had an uprising in the West Bank, which was the first uprising, where it happened spontaneously. People under pressure all the time, they end up just taking stones. They had nothing else to resist with, so they took up stones, and many were killed by the Israelis and so on. And then after that came the Oslo Agreement. The Oslo Agreement, the Palestinians recognized the state of Israel. In return, they were to be given their own state in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. But Israel decided they will give them some area. They divided the West Bank and Gaza into areas A, B, and C, where A was under Palestinian control, just administrative, B under both shared control, Palestinian and Israelis, and C remained under the Israeli control. But in reality, Israel never respected that. And they can go into area B, C, D, whatever it is, A, at will, and shoot, kill, destroy. And all that time, they're building settlements upon settlements upon settlements, which make you question, did they really want a Palestinian state? And since then, 7th of October and all that, we heard Netanyahu himself said, like, he was against establishment of Palestinian state. He was giving it lip service, and he did all he can to stop that happening. They even strengthened and armed and financed Hamas to be a thorn in the flesh for the Palestinian Authority, and then divided the two areas. They had the West Bank under the Palestinian Authority, and Hamas was controlling the Gaza Strip, but they were under siege anyway. So now, at times they say, oh, they pulled out and they gave them freedom. They didn't. They took the settlements out of the Gaza Strip, put them all around Gaza, and they built a wall, and they boxed them in. They controlled the air, the water, the sea, even the electricity and the internet. They controlled everything, and nothing will go in and out of Gaza without their permission. And they gave them the minimum amount possible. So that's what happened in Gaza. And, nothing can justify the massacres that have been happening since. The population, the Palestinian Christians, is now less than 1%. That's in Israel, in Palestine, or Palestine, like Palestinian territories, the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. For example, we're talking about Gaza. At one stage, they had about 5,000 Christians in Gaza. With the outbreak of the war there now, there was around 1,000. And since then, the number has been dropping. A good number of them now are coming to Australia. It's just because life is impossible. They would love to remain there, but first of all, it's becoming too dangerous. They could be killed anytime. There's no distinction between, like the Israelis don't make any distinction between Christians and Muslims. Early in the peace, the Gaza, like the Orthodox Church, one of the most ancient churches in Palestine, was bombed. 18 people got killed. Later on, the Celtic Church was attacked as well. And it's not my mistake, it's by design. How do we know that? In the Catholic Church, they were in a, one lady went out to go to the toilet and they shot her, an elderly woman. Her daughter followed. They shot her daughter. It's like, you know, it wasn't accidental. And when the other people came to help, many of them got injured as well. So there is a deliberate attack on Christians, on Muslims. The Christians in Jerusalem at the moment are suffering more than anybody else, any other Christians, because Israel declared Jerusalem as its own capital under President Trump, as if it was his to give away. But now they want to reduce the number of the population, Christians, Muslims, and they pushing them out and taking over. On top of this, there is some very extremists who are even in the government now, Jewish people, or mostly Zionist ideology, which says there shouldn't be any Christians on the land of Israel. Now, you might not know this, but if a priest passes by wearing a cross, those people would spit at him, would spit on the floor in front of him. And they're supposedly to receive special blessings from God for doing that. People in Bethlehem, Christians in Bethlehem, cannot go to Jerusalem. They're not allowed. They're not allowed to go to worship. They have to get permissions. Sometimes you can apply for a permission. It could take you 3 months to get the permission. And then it depends on the soldier manning the checkpoint. He can decide, yeah, people will queue up from the early hours of the morning so to make the best of their day. And they can be waiting until midday, until 3 o'clock before they let them go through. Or they can decide it's all canceled. It's all canceled. Today, nobody's allowed. You have to reapply. Now, there is a Bethlehem University, which is a Christian university in Bethlehem. And people come from Jerusalem and so on. They take the life into their own hands every time to go to school. I was there in October last year when the war broke out, and just 3 days before that, we were in Bethlehem. And we heard from the students all the horrible things that happens to them on the way to university or back from university. And the day they spoke with us and shared it with us, as soon as they finished, the university shut down. They said, there's troubles in Jerusalem, pack up your books and go. And they have to find a way there in dangerous situations. And they could be arrested, they could be shot. Actually, since the 7th of October, one of the students in Bethlehem University was killed as well. So that's the life of Palestinian Christians. Um, and the pain for Palestinian Christians in the diaspora, like here, is that when people say to you something like, "Oh, you Palestinian, when did you convert? When did you become Christians?" I mean, Jesus grew up in our land, and Pentecost happened in Jerusalem, and uh, we are the descendants of that people, the church that spread Christianity around the world. And then you have people like Jehovah's Witnesses and so on are trying to go to Palestine to evangelize the Palestinians. So, are you kidding me? And then we have, to add salt to the wounds, you have the Zionist Christians who are pouring millions and billions of dollars to the state of Israel. What for? To persecute the Christians there. They don't see that. It's just the biggest lie is the Bible commands us to bless Israel. Show me in the Bible where it says bless Israel. Yes, there was a promise to Abraham, you know, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. But that was to Abraham. That was because before Jacob, who became called Israel, was ever existed. He was a great grandson of Abraham. So the message, and if we look at our Bible carefully, we'll see in the letters of St. Paul, he says, who are the descendants of Abraham? He said, when he talks about Abraham and his descendant, not descendants, right? When you go to him, and that descendant is Jesus. So through Jesus, that the whole world is blessed with the faith of Abraham. And we are the Christians. We are the blessing. And it's our responsibility to be a light to the nations, not to go and bless a state that is a secular state and has nothing to do with the ancient Israel. We need to be witnesses to the truth, as Jesus told us. The truth will set us free. I know, like many people in Australia don't understand the complexity of the subject, but it's really very simple. But that's why we're talking about it tonight. Hopefully that will make some things clearer. But yes, the Christians in Palestine and the Palestinian Christians in the diaspora like me, we just want to cry out for the rest of the Christian body, the body of Christ, and say, we are your brothers and sisters. We need you. We need you. And don't aid and help and support the people who are wiping us out and putting us under oppression. We want to live in peace with all people. And we did. Palestinian, Christian, Muslims, and Jews lived in peace together for centuries. It's only the creation of this state of Israel that caused the problem. What is the answer? Two-state solution, one-state solution? Well, who knows what the answer is. But the main thing is what we want. Like even when we say from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, we're not talking about wiping off the Jewish people in Israel. That's not what people are saying. It's a saying that we need all people in Palestine from the river to sea to live in peace, to live equally under equal rights and not under an apartheid regime, and to be free. We want people in Palestine, whether Jews, Muslims, Christians, to be free. That's what we say when we say, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. When we talk about the Jews were God's chosen people, yes, he did choose them. But what for? Not just to be spoiled nation. He chose them to be a light to the nations, not a light unto themselves. He chose them to spread the good news. And eventually they did through Jesus and the apostles, but not through Israel that rejected Jesus. He came to his own, but his own accepted him not. To all who accepted him, whether the Jews or Gentiles, they became sons of God. He gave us the power to become sons of God. What God are you worshiping? You're worshiping the state of Israel. And they think this is the way they're going to receive a blessing. We, the Christians, are a blessing for all the others. God sent us to be a light to the nations. Now we are the chosen people. And that's not just a privilege. That's not for entitlement. That's a duty. And the last 6 months have been an eye-opener for the world. Even though governments and people in power still support the state of Israel and ideology and blah, 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 we can see millions of people around the world finding out the truth that this is not something that started on the 7th of October. This has been going on for over 75 years of oppression, of depossessing people out of their land, of harassment and killing and slaughtering and so on. People are finding that out, and particularly the younger people are raising out their voices. Even the Jewish people, not in my name, not in my name. Yeah, it's an insult to the Jewish people, and putting the Jewish, and they keep on talking about everything, anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism. You know, they cheapen the word anti-Semitic. Just to criticize a government, like the government of Israel, doesn't make you anti-Semitic. And people are now, you couldn't say anything before against the state, but now people are speaking out. People are seeing. So yes, the hope, sometimes I think, okay, what would Jesus do?